Hello, EKN Nation. Time for another EKN Debrief, episode number 168. It is Tuesday, June the 30th, 2026, and it's time to wrap up our coverage of the United States Pro Kart Series Indiana Grand Prix, the event that took place at Newcastle Motorsport Park this past weekend. My name is Rob Howden, joined as always by David Cole, who is trackside throughout the weekend, providing all of our EKN coverage from Thursday through to Sunday evening. Great showdown at the Indiana Grand Prix, the USPKS again at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Today's debrief presented by OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit otkusa.com. All right, David, let's bring you in here as we do our debrief, our race report podcast of the 2026 USPKS Indiana Grand Prix, the event last weekend, June 26th to the 28th, down at Newcastle Motorsports Park, one of the most, storied and iconic tracks in current American karting over the last 20 years. So many major programs have made stops at Newcastle over the years. USPKS obviously being one as well. They've been there for 14 years, I believe, of the program, David.
14 of the 14 years that USPKS has been going on. So it wasn't the inaugural event. That was Trackhouse Motorplex, and that was where round one of 2026 took place. And Newcastle hosted the second round of this year's championship program. Again, one final per weekend. Again, our favorite format in the world. Yep. And as you said, 14 years for this program, which began back in 2013. So yes, all 14 years straight of going to Newcastle Motorsports Park for USPKS.
So, David, in the Outlet Preview podcast, you kind of let us know that the percentage of chances for rain were quite high throughout the entire weekend. It was going to get warm through the weekend as well. In following your coverage on all the EKN social media platforms, starting each day off with your 1 minute flat, it seems you were kind of onto it because there was rain, there was dry, there was transition. It was an up and down weekend for sure.
Yeah, it was rain all 3 days. That's what happened. Luckily for us, Saturday was only at the end of the day and then carried over into Sunday morning, which it finally did go away by the time warm-up began. So actually warm-up on Sunday, the micros were on rain tires, but everybody else went on dry tires because it was in the drying process. So that was a positive. But yeah, the rain at the end of Saturday, I kept telling everybody I wanted to do the Andy Dufresne and enjoy the rain as it came down, because it did cool everything down for that brief 5-minute shower that we did have that crept into the area and soaked the X30 Pro during their superheat. But but then Friday was rain all day, so we had precipitation throughout the weekend. Thursday was none whatsoever, so positive there. But yeah, it was actually heavy rain that came down Saturday evening and into the morning hours. Messed up a few of the tents in the paddock, not just because of wind, but mostly because of the amount of rain.
Wow.
Then that included the Kart Chaser tent. So, again, it's strange. Every time, Rob, we go to Newcastle, it's weather is a big factor.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to circle back on this Andy Dufresne thing. Do we need to get like an EKN white undershirt for you so you can like do the whole standing up in the water?
Well, I was going to take my shirt off, but then I remembered everybody had cameras, and I was like, that would not be good.
That would have been
it would have been a great meme.
Yeah, right? Because that would have been the biggest karting meme in the last 20 years.
But I haven't quite been working out on the abs as much as I should.
You've been working on the abs, just the covering, not the inside.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I did lose weight, but just not quite enough to show it off to everybody there that doesn't want to go to the beach with me. But but yeah, no, it was just it was because again, that region just gets humidity.
Yeah,
so
it does. Yep.
The rain comes, it actually feels really good. And at that time it was starting to get more and more humid. And then the rain came through and kind of cooled everything off. So it felt really good to be, my camera didn't enjoy it, but But yeah, the drivers didn't enjoy it either. But yeah, it did get wet there at the end of Saturday.
As we do in all of our first segments here on the Debrief podcast, let's go to By the Numbers right now. Let's have a look. The opening round down in Trackhouse, 219 entries, a little drop, about 11 drivers, so not that much, not even 10%, about a 5% drop to 208, still well over the 200 mark. Lots of big numbers. And again, not surprising, the two biggest categories, the KA Junior, KA Senior, 40 in the junior class, 53 drivers in KA Senior. A pretty impressive weekend in terms of that category, thinking about the fact there were 57 at Trackhouse and then 53 at Newcastle.
Yeah, that was the positive, because we had to run a B main. That's always good when you have to run a B main on Sunday morning to narrow down the field to just 44 drivers. So yeah, we thought we were going to get that with KA Junior, but we didn't have any walk-ups. It stayed at that 40 mark there going into the weekend. And again, we talked about in the outlap, the big differences in the mini Swift category. We had 42 at Trackhouse and go down to 26. But again, it was a great solid field, a lot of contenders in the field. So really the numbers are staying put where they are. Not sure though on the forecast for the rest of the season. Again, we're only getting a total of 4 master drivers over for the shifter program, and then the pro shifters under 10. So I don't know if those numbers are going to increase at all when we go to Ohio for the final 2 events. And then I got to factor, you're going to get that, we're into August, let's cut back because we're going to start school and all the other different factors that come in. So the hope is to try and stay, near that 200 mark for USPKS, but it's going to be a bit of a struggle going into the second half of the season for sure.
You mentioned it, Dave. It's really, if you look at the numbers, you think, okay, they were down 11, but as you said, they were down 16 alone in mini Swift, 42 down to 26. Micro Swift was actually bigger. X30 Junior stayed held station at 18, 1 less in X30 Pro, the same in KA 100 Masters, a couple less in the Supermaster class, but KA Junior was up 7. So even Pro Shifter was up 1, but only 9, as you said. So for the most part, majority of the categories either held station at where they were at Trackhouse or were up a couple. So it was just a big drop in mini Swift to change things. But David, I think you kind of nailed it. In now to the second half of the season, people start coming up with excuses to stay at home. Vacation, school's coming. I'm thinking about Supernats already. Whatever it may be that people start. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully we'll stay over 200, and every local track brings in maybe some of the local drivers.
Yeah, that's the hope. Obviously, you get more at Newcastle, more at Trackhouse compared to other facilities. But again, it depends on where you're racing as well too. And again, so we're still talking over 200 entries for the weekend, which is always a positive, no matter what program you're running.
Let's go to our first break, folks. When we get back, we'll dive into the paddock pass as we get rolling here for EKN Debrief number 168, breaking down this past weekend's USPKS Indiana Grand Prix. In Colorado, the place to go for karts and parts and everything else you need to go racing is Forward Direction Motorsports. It's Colorado's premier karting company. Owned and operated by veteran karter Greg Welch, Forward Direction Motorsports is located in Centennial, Colorado. FDM has been developed to provide customer service and product sales at all levels and in both in-person and online. We're a brick and mortar shop that serves as the hub for karting in Colorado, and we're a gateway to new racers who can come in and learn about the sport. We also have an online store and can ship all over the country. We can also service all makes and models of engines and karts. Whatever you race, we can take care of you. Forward Direction Motorsports is a comp kart dealer, an authorized Rotax service center, and we can fully support all Briggs 206 racers. We support local karting 100%, and we also have a race team that takes our customers to major regional and national events on the West Coast. From kart prep and coaching to full arrive and drive packages, we offer something for everyone. You don't have to live in Colorado to experience Full Direction Motorsports' vast experience or dedication to customer service. Our online store continues to expand its inventory, and the products you need are just a mouse click away. Head to fdmkarting.com the next time you need parts and equipment fast. We ship daily. Shop online or come to the store to check out our inventory and visit our service department. Head to fdmkarting.com to learn more about our products and services, our call us direct at 720-323-3650.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Welcome back to the EKN Debrief number 168. Rob Howden alongside David Cole, who was trackside this past weekend at Newcastle Motorsports Park for the second round of the USPKS. Let's dive into the Paddock Pass right now, brought to you by Stilo USA. As a world leader in personal racing safety products, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is excited to have made their move into karting. Stilo has 3 helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting. The ST6 KRT helmets, including the new ST6 CMR Lite and the new ST6 CMR Zero. Complete your safety gear with the Stilo Carbon Curva Rib and Chest Protector. For more information, check them out at stilohelmets.com or by following them on social media at Stilo USA. All right, David, you were trackside. We had the Paddock Insider. We call it the Paddock Pass here on the podcast. What did you pick up being trackside off the racetrack?
Well, we began with, again, kind of what we talked about in our first segment, going to Newcastle for the 14th time for a United States Pro Kart Series and talking about the weather, kind of laid out the updated forecast and to start the weekend off where we were looking weather-wise. The racetrack itself, again, we ran in the national layout, which was a different change. We have been normally doing reverse and other different directions and layouts for USPKS. So it was back to basics for them to go in the national layout, which again, Rob, it still produces great racing. We'll get more into the amazing finishes as well too, because again, that drive down from I-70 down the Long Pond straightaway to the finish line, again, produces close and photo finishes all weekend long.
Indeed. A number of names, I think, was kind of the big thing rolling in. And we knew it was coming in for one driver. One driver kind of announced the move to a new team just as you were getting ready to leave for Indiana. Some some moves as well for cadet drivers. Let's get started with, I guess we'll dive into the shifter ranks first.
Yeah, one of the big news prior to the event, actually before we went to Ohio, was the Frenchman Adrien Renaudin joining Carblos Racing Engines, the race team, for the remainder of the 2026 season. So he's going to be one of their official drivers running on the Sodi Kart chassis. So I got to see him in the full Carblos colors for the first time on the weekend. And the story alongside him in under the same tent was the addition of Billy Musgrave, who has been a Carblos driver for the last few years, but got the call Wednesday night, hey, get your butt to Newcastle. Let's get some more R&D done on this R3. And so Billy Musgrave, the defending SCUSA Pro Tour champion, made the trek out to Newcastle and was under the tent. Wasn't there Thursday, but showed up Friday morning ready to go.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that, of course, when we get into the race report. But yeah, big news there for sure. The other one, David, we were jumping on really quickly just before you went to Indiana. Some news regarding Jake Drew moving over to Rawlson Performance Group.
Yeah, we kind of covered it a little bit, just kind of the announcement, got some quotes from the key components, including Mike Rawlson, Jake Drew, and of course, Formula Works, Jake Drew's former place of employment and where he raced with. Most got to talk a little bit deeper with Mike Rawlson. He's really happy with the addition. It's been kind of happening over the last month or so about bringing Jake on board. They're really looking at all the different components that Jake can bring. Again, of course, a good driver, a driver coach, but also his location in Southern California. It's kind of an area that, again, we talk about where there's not much racing, but yet there's a lot of potential there. And so I think that's one of the key aspects to this new relationship. Jake is obviously from that region, knows a lot of the up and coming drivers, has been racing there all season long with Formula Works. But again, you look at the driver coaches that RPG has, they're from all different places around the globe. You talk Marion Kremers, Ben Cooper, Hijack, not Hijack. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of? Yeah, it is Hijack, right?
Patrick Hijack. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick Hijack. Again,
Kajak,
another.
Sorry.
Yeah. Not Hijack, but Hijack.
There you go.
That's where I was getting confused
I know you
on
gotcha.
that. But yeah, so he, again, and the other British drivers, I'm drawing a blank here.
Well, Ben Cooper and
Canadian, but
Canadian.
no, Sean Butcher and Gus Lawrence. They're from the UK. They can't be here all the time, so it's kind of a role that RPG's kind of missed since Ryan Norberg left last year, at the end of last year. So it's kind of a good fit. It's funny. Talk to Jake Drew. He's like, man, this is just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. Formula Works is like family to me. But, again, just something that, he had to do and see what's going to, come of it. And it was funny, I talked with Ryan Norberg. I was like, hey, is it weird seeing Jake Drew over there? And he's like, no, I kind of, they kind of talked a little bit about it as it was happening. And it's cool to kind of see that camaraderie a little bit, or at least guys talking to one another about, the different situations. Cause now Ryan Norberg's where Jake Drew was. Jake Drew's now where Ryan Norberg is.
Exactly that. So. Mutual respect within the drivers, right? Because
I think that
you're talking about a couple drivers who are top 10 in the country. We've seen Jake be at the front of the Supernats, for God's sakes. So
and obviously we're going to see Jake racing more than we are going to see Ryan.
Yep.
So eventually they will be competitors, but we're starting to see that with the X30 guys, especially those who have been racing in that category for over 10 years or more, or 8 years or however long they've been in there. They're all there. It's almost a job. It's their job to be there. And so they're kind of working with one another. They want to be each other on the racetrack, but they also don't, there's not a lot of hatred amongst the paddock in that race group.
Again, it's like you said, they're colleagues, right? Because they're all trying to be professionals at this level of the sport. The sport of karting in the last 2 decades has come to a place where there are professional drivers who are coaches, especially professional drivers, team drivers, and that's a good thing for Jake Drew. Good for his career, landing it again. One of the juggernauts of the sport. Your Rawlson Performance Group looks like it should be a pretty solid relationship. We'll see how things grow moving forward. Now, David, Jake wasn't the only driver in RPG colors this particular weekend either.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it in the outlap and in our preview. Lucas Palacio coming over back from racing in Europe and joining Rawlson Performance Group. He's made the move away from Kart Republic over there to Forza Racing, which is an OTK race team, and sticking with that brand and the material. They thought it was a no-brainer to go with RPG when they did come over here to race, and so he was suited up for both junior categories on the weekend, and was really excited to for his first weekend there with RPG.
Dave, let's move over to Speed Concepts Racing. Fill me in. This is one of the ones when I was following your Paddock Insider on the weekend as you posted through social media, and some expansion, let's say, for Speed Concepts Racing. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of been missing over the last couple of years. They were working on trying to build something with the driver like Zane Burgess and some others, but their cadet program kind of went away. And so they've been working hard at trying to find the right pieces to kind of put together. And their relationship, Frankie Mossman and Chris Wareheim, have led to bringing on Mason Brody and Dusty Strayer, one a mini driver, the other the micro driver, both still, or I should say Brody's still on the Nitro Kart under the Speed Concepts Racing tent, but for Dusty Strayer, it was a move to the Nitro Kart brand for the first time this weekend. He's done Parolin and I believe another frame as well. I think it was maybe just Parolin, but I thought he worked on another race with another chassis brand before, but yeah, they made their debut under the Speed Concepts Racing tent over the weekend. And again, talking with Mike Speed, that's something that they've been trying to work towards. They want to kind of harness these drivers at the younger age and develop them from cadet to junior, then to senior, and kind of continue that driver development program that they had in place when drivers like Jack Jeffers or Luca Mars, who's in IMSA as well too, when they started at Speed Concepts Racing in the cadet division. Yeah. You think about go back to like guys like Paul Bacuse coming through that program as well. There was a lot of young drivers coming through the cadet programs, working their way up through the ranks. Let's wrap up this edition of the Paddock Pass, brought to you by Stilo USA, with a kind of an industry note as well, David, because there's a chassis we haven't seen in a while. It's making at least made its return to national level racing at the USPKS event with Kart Zone and Macron Motorsports. Well, we've seen it at the Super Nationals. This was not a brand we haven't seen before, but it does have new distribution point with Macron Motorsports and the Kart Zone out of the Lorain, Ohio Kartplex. They are now the new U.S. distributors for Formula K and the Praga brand as well too here in the United States. So they did make their trackside debut this weekend at the United States Pro Kart Series. And funny story about that whole program, they did not have their product come in time from getting shipped. Obviously, some of the official holidays shut down some of the ports, and also the craziness that is the FIFA World Cup has delayed some, I guess, travel logistics for product as well too. And unfortunately, they did not get their stuff until late Thursday night. Spent all Thursday night putting everything together for essentially Friday practice in the wet, but got a couple of hours and they got trackside. So a quick turnaround for them on the weekend, but what they hope to be a long partnership with Formula K and Praga, bringing in Marcus Kayak and Mateus Ramirez, a driver we've seen race in the shifter ranks multiple times. So that's part and due to the partnership that the brands do have with SRP. The SRP USA is Thomas Silva here in the United States. And so that's what brought on Mateus Ramirez. A little bit, they go way back. And so that's where he kind of got involved in, and he's been putting in the work, trying to get back into karting race shape.
Man, lots going on there for sure. And great job, David, all weekend long there, especially on the Friday when you're busting your butt around the paddock. It gets a lot of information there. Lots going on at the USPKS event at Newcastle for the Paddock Pass. Time though to jump into the race report. We'll go class by class after this break, kicking things off with X30 Pro and Pro Shifter. Left without a mechanic or a crew to help you at the kart track or in the garage? Kart Lift Kart Stands is your solution. The company, founded in 2003, is now owned and operated by Ted Fashing out of Cokato, Minnesota. And Ted has decades of knowledge and experience with fabrication. Kart Lift takes pride in both our quality and our personal customer service that we provide on the phone or at the track. Kart Lift Kart Stands can be found at racetracks all over the country. If you race alone, or if you're a parent with a cadet or junior driver, let our one-man winch lift make your race days easier. Position the hooks under the rear bumper, push the button, and your cart is raised into position and you're ready to go. We also have cart lift stackers for storing 2 carts at once, traditional cart stands, single and double upright storage stands, tire changers, and skid plate kits. Race teams and shops can contact us about our state-of-the-art chassis straightening table. If you have an idea for a custom stand, Cart Lift can build it for you. All products from Cart Lift are made in the USA. Cart Lift cart stands are available at many cart shops around the country, or you can order online at cartlift.com. For more information, give us a call at 877-777-8020. That's 877-777-8020. Get a Cart Lift today.
The karting championship that's taken Europe by storm and helped launch today's top open-wheel stars is now in the United States. Introducing Champions of the Future America. Champions of the Future America is a 9-round series that welcomes drivers across multiple classes, including Mini, KA100, and X30. Champions of the Future America tours 2 of the Southwest's premier karting facilities, K1 Circuit in Southern California and Spring Mountain Karting Complex in Nevada. Drivers will compete across 8 unique track layouts in pursuit of a prize pool valued at over $130,000. The ultimate reward? Our X30 Pro champion will win an all-expenses-paid trip to France for a 3-day Formula 4 training camp at the legendary Winfield Racing School at Circuit Paul Ricard. Learn more about Champions of the Future America. Register now at championskartingamerica.com. That's championskartingamerica.com.
Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage of the USPKS event at the Newcastle Motorsports Park this past weekend, the Indiana Grand Prix, episode 168 of our EKN Debriefs here. We've been doing this for quite a while, it seems. Diving into the race report now, presented today by Comet Kart Sales. History, success, family. These are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside Indianapolis and has provided carts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in their near 6 decades of business. Their brand new updated online store features everything you need, and they are continually adding new parts to their product line. Make sure you head to cometkartsales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. All right, DC, let's dive into this here right now. Let's start with the X30 Pro category presented by Rawlson Performance Group. As always, I'll throw in the headlines. We'll go a little quicker through the actual events and what happened on track. We'll come up with some takeaways afterwards as well to make it more of a debrief. But here's the headline for X30 Pro. Bonilla wins in thrilling last lap action.
Yeah, Rob, like we talked about, weather on Friday was wet, and that's when qualifying happened. So it made things interesting because, some drivers are a little bit quicker in the wet than they were in the dry. So it did mix things up. But one thing we weren't shocked to see was Jake Drew up front, as he was the quickest in qualifying. A 1:21.900 was a quick time in that session. And again, I think it's actually stopped raining once qualifying was done for the day on Friday. So again, makes Newcastle weather even that much weirder. But once they got to racing in the heat races, it was John Antonino, the young driver making his X30 Pro debut, that came away with both heat wins. And it was him and Max Weiland, the 2 MPG drivers, that got away in the super heat until the rains came, and they actually cut that race short due to the heavy rain. Wow, okay. I'm not sure on the whole situation on that. I don't think they really wanted to red flag it, but they did. A little bit of miscommunication with the officials, but yeah, Drew ended up in 3rd. He was 2nd in the second heat, but did not finish in the opening heat race. It was contact between Davin Roberts, and Blake Nash in the turn 4 section. So kind of hurt Drew in the points that set the grid for the main event, as Antonino and Weiland were 1-2, and then Paulie Massimino in the 3rd spot alongside Jake Drew. And then bad luck again continued for Drew at the start of the main event, as contact dropped him all the way back to the 12th spot over the opening lap. This essentially allowed Antonino and Massimino to kind of pull away from the field. They swapped the lead a few times, but eventually just kind of continued to pull away as the rest of the field was back there battling for the third spot. The drama didn't really happen until the last lap, and that's when Massimino put on the pressure, made a great over-under move in the cell tower corner, and then as they went into turn 10 side by side, the two made contact into that kink corner number 10, Rob, that I'm sure you're familiar with, and I've seen contact happen there many times in our Briggs races there. So the two made contact. Massimino ended up going over top of the front end of Antonino's machine as they went off into the grass. They both tried to continue on, got back on, and as they did, that P3 fight was able to drive through and take over the leading positions, and that was led by Donovan Bonilla, who led only the final lap and held off charging Davin Roberts down a drag race to the line by just 38 thousandths of a second for his first USPKS victory.
Max Weiland coming home in the third spot, Nash in fourth, and Drew, after that incident in the opening lap, David mentioned, be able to drive his way back up to fifth. Anything else, David, in that final lineup you want to talk about, the top five?
Yeah, Drew worked his way. I thought he was going to get third at one point, but the last couple of laps there, they were pretty hectic and lots of racing going on with all those drivers that were racing for third. But yeah, just bad luck for Drew overall. When you look at it, because I want to say he was probably the quickest driver out there. So had he not got shuffled back, maybe we could have saw him be in that lead group or lead duo. But again, had the chance, maybe kind of overused the tires there trying to get back up into that P3 fight. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the race, but I think all in all, not exactly the weekend he was hoping for. So that bad luck in the heat race really cost him.
Yeah, we're into our takeaways now, our new segment that we added recently to these debrief podcasts. We'll do the class itself. David will go through the class, then we'll go to our takeaways. I wasn't trackside, so these will be David's takeaways. I already talked about the bad luck for Drew, but David, you mentioned here, John Antonino, just super fast in his X30 Pro debut.
Yeah, super quick. We've seen him since he was in the micro days back in Lancaster Grand Prix. Mentioned that to Race Liberante, who has worked with him in the past and kind of still not help guides him a little bit here and there. But yeah, Antonino. The one thing that's different, I will say, about him than most of the other karters that are either up into the X30 or in the junior ranks, you don't see him an awful lot. Limited time in the karting ranks. He does a lot of stars races, but kind of picks and chooses where he wants to race. But he also does a lot of dirt racing as well too. So I think that's that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Rounds out his CV or his driving skills, because kind of like a Carl Larson where you can just jump in anything and go fast. So
I like that. Yep.
We've seen him be fast and at all different levels, junior, cadet, and micro, and so no surprise to see him up there, but definitely with the contact between him and Massimino, I gotta think maybe a little bit of growing up to do, certain kind of pick and choose the right battles and when to squeeze, when not to squeeze type scenarios.
Well, especially you think about where that lap was. Number one, you're going up against Paulie Massimino, who's got a ton of confidence and momentum right now. And I'm not, I wasn't there trackside. All I saw was the car chaser coverage and like it is. And I don't want to bang on John at all, but
no, it's not a bang. Hey, it's a welcome to the big leagues, boy.
Well, there's also some corners where you give it up. Paulie's on the inside. He's either going to take the inside or he's probably going to drive you off the track. You've got turn 13 coming, or turn 12, right? The green corner. So there's a lot of places to pass still, and then try to hang on maybe right there. When I saw it happening, I'm like, oh, let it go, let him.
That's exactly it.
And he didn't let him have it.
That's kind of where Paulie was at too. Is like, hey, I had a great run. There's you can run side by side through there, and like you said, it's going to give him the inside lane for the next kink. But yeah, you can set up for green corner, you can set up for scoreboard, you can set up for I-70, or you or like all the other categories, you just set up for the drag race to the line.
Yep. 100%. So again, it didn't work out for both drivers. Let's put it that way. And Paul and Bonilla able to come away, Donovan Bonilla coming away with the big one there. So good for him. One thing so you talk about Antonino, obviously one of the young guns, but there's more than just Antonino, David. One of the things I saw watching this, I'm seeing these names up front. I'm like, whoo, little changing of the guard here right now at USPKS to a certain extent.
Well, yeah, again, we the fields aren't as big as SCUSA, so I think it does help for these young guns to kind of step up. Obviously, Davin Roberts, this is his second season. I think maybe third even. I can't remember when he moved up, if it was 2024 or if it was 2025.
He's still only 15 though, I think, isn't he?
But he's still young. Yeah. And again, getting to run up front, and Weiland in his first year in the senior ranks. So again, racing over in Europe, not quite having the success he wants over there with Kart Republic, but helping to run with the quick guys here in the US will definitely help build that momentum. And so maybe also it's the Newcastle factor, where all these drivers have many, many laps around this place, and it's not a Tucson, it's not an MCC. And so this is where the level playing field occurs, because everybody knows this racetrack.
David, one last thing here for the X30 Pro. Big speed for Antonino, big speed for Weiland on the Kart Republic. Does it make you think like Joe Turney is going to be a guy to watch for at the Summer Nats?
Yeah, I think, again, it is Newcastle, so it's almost like the Talladega of karting, to where you want to sit, a couple drivers even said that you want to be second on that last lap and kind of pinpoint when you want to make the move. And so, yeah, but I got to expect, if anybody could break away, it might be Joe after, winning 3 of the 4 main events that we've had in the Pro Tour. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting. I know Daniel Tate was there as the parts guy for IMA USA East, and so he knows exactly how the track played out, what the Kart Republic guys were doing, and Antonino and Weiland. So yeah, definitely, he's won at Newcastle before, so yeah, I would say watch out. But again, Jake Drew on RPG, Paulie Massimino, I think those 2 guys are probably going to put up the big fight.
No doubt. Lots of guys stepping things up, of course, in the SCUSA program as well. Let's move on to Pro Shifter, presented by Velocity Racing. Here's the headline: Musgrave outlasts challenges to claim first USPKS victory.
Yeah, it was good racing all weekend long in Pro Shifter. Marcus Kayak was the top driver in the rain for qualifying, a 118.809, but Musgrave was the driver to beat when it got dry. He did win the opening heat race, won on track in heat number 2, but unfortunately it was underweight. He got confused, did not know that USPKS has a higher weight than Superkarts USA Pro Tour, so probably gave himself the 5 pounds early on in the day, and came under that 395 weight in the second heat. So did get a disqualification after winning that heat race. And then in the super heat, it rained again, and Musgrave knew he didn't quite have the rain pedigree that Adrian Renaudin and Marcus Kayak have. And they went 1-2 in the super heat without really a challenge. Again, I think they were all just hanging on and making the laps, because it was the end of the day on Saturday. So with that, it was Renaudin on the pole position next to Marcus Kayak, with Justin White and Musgrave in row 2. Musgrave got a great start, was actually into second behind Kayak with the hole shot. But then it was Adrian Renaudin and then Gavin Bailiff making up the top 4 in the early start of the day of the main event. Lots of jostling for position, as it looked like Musgrave was going to be the quickest driver again. Got into the lead, had a little bit of a gap, and then kind of overworked the tires, as he said in the interview, and allowed everybody to kind of bunch back up again. At one point, it was lap. No, I think I wrote that wrong. I think it was lap 6 that we saw the drivers go 3 wide. Could have been lap 16. I don't know. Too much stuff going on, but they actually went 3 wide coming out of turn 1 as they were all bunched up. They kept going back and forth throughout the next couple of corners. Then we get into turn 6, and Kayak was back in the 4th position, and he gave a nice little bump and run to Bailiff. Nothing little, we haven't seen Bailiff do before. But then as they go into Cell Tower, Bailiff just sent it. I mean, he just sent it, and he was trying to send Kayak back to Europe. That's how hard it was a hit. Because I'm directionally right. I know which way Europe is in that map. Anyway, the contact was so hard, bent the rear bumper into the actual rear tire to where it was rubbing the entire tire. So that limited the pace and forced Kayak to retire. That allowed Musgrave and Renaudin to go on to go 1-2 unchallenged, with Bailiff crossing in the third spot. But that contact in the cell tower there cost him 3 positions, dropping down to 6. So it was Musgrave 1, Renaudin 2, Justin White 3 for the Carlos 1-2-3 finish, all on 3 different carts.
Nice. I like that too. And then Eli Fox coming home, finishing in the 4th spot. Matthias Ramirez, who we talked about in the paddock pass, in 5th. You want to throw a little, let's go to the takeaways. You talk about Eli Fox in there in the takeaways. You already mentioned Carlos 1-2-3. Did it feel like an engine battle on the weekend as well with SRP in there?
Well, it was, you had Bailiff was actually on an SRP this weekend. You had Kayak with the SRP. You had Ramirez on an SRP. I'm not sure what Fox was running. I think he might have been Carlos or something else. I'm not quite sure. I didn't actually check on that. But up front, those 4 drivers that were battling through the main event, that's exactly what it was. Carlos Racing Engines versus SRP. So that was good stuff to watch. And again, all 4 different carts as well, too. Factory cart, Sodi cart, Maranello, not Maranello. Sorry, excuse me. Factory cart, Formula cart, Sodi cart, and a Burrell art, all battling up there.
Good stuff. Let's talk about Eli Fox. Dive a little more. We didn't talk about him really in the heat races or in the super heat, but
that's kind of where I was impressed. He was right there with everybody in the heat races, battling with the top 3 drivers, kept pace. I think the rain kind of caught him out in the super heat, of course. And then I don't think got quite the start that he wanted to get in the main event, but certainly showed pace. And again, that's the part I liked about it is, again, he's a local driver. This is his racetrack. He knows it very well. And I was quite impressed with the pace that he had on the weekend.
Another guy that does some double duty, right? Does some oval racing as well in the Kenyan Midget Series too. So good job for Eli.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Love seeing him right up in the fight there too. One of the good guys in the paddock, no doubt. We mentioned it in Pro X30 about Joe Turney. Give me your thoughts in this takeaway section about this being a warm-up for these drivers for Summer Nats. That's kind of the reason, yes, that Musgrave came out with Carlos.
Yeah, the development of the new R3 engine, that was really what kind of sparked it. I don't think Billy's actually in the championship now with the DQ that he did suffer at MCC. But again, these guys are going out for race wins. And, if whatever development that they can do with multiple drivers on the racetrack with Justin White, Renaudin, Billy, and then their Masters drivers as well too, they're able, the more elements you have to test, the better. And so, yeah, that's what it's going to be. But watching the race, like, I don't see why we won't see something like that occur during the Summer Nationals. Again, we've seen it over the last couple of years there, where the pro shifter puts on probably the best race of the weekend, or at least the most dramatic race. Again, last year, Formal coming through and holding off Wick there at the end, Musgrave picking up the victory 2 years ago. So now he's got another thing to add to his resume, is a USPKS victory, which he hadn't had before. So, and the thing too is that during our interviews with Musgrave, he said this is the best he's ever felt in a kart.
I watched that interview and I'm thinking, man, that's unbelievable to hear, because again, listen, this guy's he's been a pro for a number of years. You think about his career too, like Hall of Fame career for sure. Going back to 2012, 2013, when he first rolled in, as a Formula S2 driver. So amazing to hear him say that. And listen, that kind of does not play just to the continued development of the factory kart. Like him saying that he doesn't do any, like, they put a hard axle on it and they don't change anything all weekend long. I'm sure they make little stuff, but my God, it seems like the baseline package of that factory kart is almost ideal.
Yeah, it seems to be. They, like he said, he had the dry setup for the wet and had to change it to a full wet once they got there Friday. So, it just seems like it's on cruise control. Like you said, making sure components are what they should be and this and that. But it really comes down to every minute change, again, with the engine is what I think is key to being first or to being sixth.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, let's go to another break, Dave. When we get back, we got to dive into KA Senior, KA Junior, and X30 Junior, 3 categories. For the Race Report, brought to you by Comet Kart Sales after this break. Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader shifter, along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParolinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Parolin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. Klotz Lubricants has a long history in the sport of karting, with over 60 years of developing products for the motorsports industry. A new product introduced by Klotz combines its technology with the knowledge and experience of one of the sport's legends, Lynn Haddock. The new Haddock Special Formula 2-stroke engine oil is blended at the Klotz facility in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The blend uses a formula that Lynn developed and refined throughout years of racetrack testing. The 2-stroke engine oil is designed specifically for karting engines, using a proprietary blend of synthetic and castor-based oils. The synthetic-based oils provide wear protection at low temperatures, and the castor-based oils provide wear protection at high temperatures and high RPMs. The fluid is anodized to mitigate corrosion and deposit formation and can be mixed with either gasoline or methanol. The new Haddock Special Formula from Klotz is available now through the KlotzLube.com website and will be coming to many kart shops across the country in the near future. Klotz and the Haddock Special Formula, bringing together decades of experience to the karting industry. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief here. Rob Howard alongside David Cole. Well into the race report from this past weekend's USPKS Indiana Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Today's race report brought to you by Comet Kart Sales. We'll move into the KA100 Senior category presented by Brandon Jarts of Crack Racing. Here's the headline. BJR dominates, led by Massimino.
Yeah, the only session they didn't get was qualifying in the wet. That was led by Orsilon driver Sebastian Garzon, 124.411. And that was the only time we didn't see a BGR driver at the front of the field. It was actually Overbeck winning the opening heat race, but a pushback bumper penalty took him out of the win. But it handed it over to fellow BGR driver Mateo Rubio Luengo. As he was greeted with the win in the opening heat. Massimino won the other heat as the race group. The class was split up into different race groups for the heat races. Overbeck and Massimino won in heat 2, and then they won again in the super heats as they didn't have to race one another. So the way they do the format, it's all different now. I'm a math guy. It frustrates the hell out of me, but I won't get into that. Massimino and Overbeck started on the front row, and that was it. You know, they were never really challenged as they fought early for P3. AJ Myers running for MPG and Kart Republic tried to catch back up, but wasn't able to do that. At one time early on, it was Myers and Malkit that were nose to tail, and then they were get caught up by the third group and just never really had a chance to really run down the leaders. Massimino led, I want to say, the majority of the race. I think Overbeck led early, and then Massimino showed the way. Last lap, basically, it was teammate versus teammates. Massimino ran the defensive line, kind of navigated it just like he wanted to kind of slow the over-under move from Overbeck, which was just enough. And Overbeck tried, just kind of bogged his pace down a little bit, and that hurt him in the drag race, losing at the line by 70 thousandths of a second.
Wow, that's tough. So Massimino, Overbeck, AJ Myers ends up third, Isaac Malkit in fourth, Caden McQueen rounds out the top 5. Dave, what are your takeaways on the race on the weekend?
Yeah, good starts on the weekends, which is surprising typically for the KA categories. No major incidents that happened. So really, that's a massive positive for the category.
In that, turn one at Newcastle with that many cars bearing down, I'm surprised that it was good starts for sure. You mentioned the battle behind Massimino and Overbeck. It seemed like those, as you said, were the outright fastest drivers of the weekend. But from what sounds like you're talking about, there was some really strong racing for the guys going for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, elbows up. Like nobody was given an inch, nobody working together, obviously, because they weren't able to run down the top two. But yeah, it was kind of good to see. That's what we want to see for the victory. We didn't get it as the two teammates broke away, but there were multiple different drivers in that mix for that P3 fight.
Any other notable performances in the main?
One of the hard chargers of the weekend, again, big category. So you kind of look at that. It was Caleb Gaffera. Issues in the heat race, dropped into 32nd on the grid for the main event, but he was able to work his way up into the 11th spot, which is just at the tail end of that P3 battle as that kind of raged on to the checkered flag.
Wow, that's
so
impressive.
More than 20 positions there in the 18 lap race.
Damn, good job there. Let's go to KA100 Junior, presented by BBS Race Engines. Here's the headline: Schniegenberg claims first junior victory.
Yeah, good racing in this category all weekend long. Travis Pettit had fast time in qualifying in the wet, but it was Nico Katowski that led the way once things got racing, won both heat races and the super heat to take the pole position for the main event. It was him, Colton Schniegenberg, and Travis Pettit that were the lead group in the main event. Eventually, Pettit lost the draft and ended up being an issue with his engine that bogged his pace down there in the closing laps. So he actually drifted out of the top five due to that engine issue. This left the two drivers up front to battle. And again, your typical Newcastle battle, you go into I-70 and it's a drag race to the line. And this one, Schniegenberg was able to pull off by just 1,000th of a second at the line ahead of Katowski.
Oh my, get the cameras out for that photo finish for sure. Schniegenberg, very impressive, David. As you said, third in the first heat, third in the super heat. It comes away with the victory, edging out Katowski. Great stuff for Colton Schniegenberg. His first junior victory too, so shout out there as well. Santiago Orioli in third spot, Tristan Murphy in fourth, and Lucas Palacio, as we said, coming back from Europe with our PG to finish P5. Dave, I mentioned Oriole. I see he's one of your takeaways on the day.
Yeah, great performance by him. Back with the family team, OKP, and on the EOS chassis now with OTK. And he actually qualified 21st. So again, we talked about it. Some guys are going to struggle in the rain. He didn't quite get the session he wanted in qualifying, so worked his way up through the heat races and was, again, starting fourth on the main event. Finished up on the podium in the third position.
So we talked about this in the outlap. Think about drivers who are going to be able to break through, getting that first win. Colton Schniegenberg gets his first junior victory. So you add a new name to the win list. You've been at a bunch of races this year so far, David. You got thoughts on who might be the next guy to break out?
I don't know if Murphy is my new Oliver Calvo, because I keep saying that kid's going to win a race. And again, didn't do it here. And we'll talk about him a little bit more in the X30 junior race as well, too.
So there you go. Could be Tristan Murphy, but more to talk about. Let's go to X30 Junior, presented by Speed Concepts Racing. Here's the headline: Pettit secures win with last lap move.
Yeah, again, X30 Junior put on a great race all weekend long with only 18 drivers, but nearly every single one of them kind of in the lead pack. And White Line will definitely help that, Rob, as we have seen at many other races before.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, multiple drivers at the front. Pettit fastest in qualifying. Tristan Murphy and Marco Samet with wins in the heat races. Lucas Palacio coming through with the win in the super heat. That put Palacio and Samet on the front row, Katowski and Murphy in row 2, and then Pettit back in the 5th spot to start the main event. And this was it, man. It was a White Line show. So if that's what you like to watch, this is the race to watch. It was done early by Tristan Murphy and Lucas Palacio. Palacio was the one that kind of dictated that. Once he got into the lead, probably after lap 5, it was the defensive line for every single lap after that, basically. just prior to that, or if not, right when Palacio took over the win, there was some contact between Marco Sammet and Colton Schniegenberg going into turn 5. Schniegenberg went off in the grass, so he was kind of done for the day, while Sammet did a quick turnaround and joined the tail end of the field, probably about maybe 5-6 seconds behind the last cart that was running still at the with the field. But that was the story to kind of watch, because as they white lined, you're talking 2 to 3 seconds off the regular pace. Sammet's down, Matt nailing laps. So he gets back to the tail of the field, starts working his way by one. He gets up into the top 5, and you're like, oh my gosh, Marco Sammet's going to win this race. And as soon as I thought that, that's when it all went to, as there was some contact between he and Nico Katowski in the cell tower corner, which essentially ended both their races right there as well. So that contact essentially allowed Tristan Murphy and Travis Pennant to get away from the rest of the field as they battled for the victory over the closing laps. Murphy looked like he had the run to the line as a drag race to the checkered flag, but it was Travis Pettit with a little bit of help from Lucas Palacio, giving him a little bit of a bump draft there in the end, getting to the line by 23 thousandths of a second over Murphy.
Yeah, tough one for Murphy there. Palacio did come home in third. Nathan Golseth in 4th spot. Grayson Walcott rounding out your top 5. David, you talked about Sammet, almost 0 to hero there, trying to come to the back after the contact with Katowski. Tristan Murphy super close to getting that win. Who are the drivers that are right there then? Let's go. I asked you this question already. Grayson Walcott, that's second race in a row. We've been talking about this guy up front.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those drivers that could be in the hunt for a podium. Katowski hasn't won in a bit. I could talk, Murphy's my go-to. Put the money on him. He's going to eventually win one of these races. We saw Sammet just win in Ohio. So again, lots of different drivers. Golseth coming off wins as well over the winter break. So multiple drivers are right there. I think that's the cool thing we have right now with the X30 junior category. There's nobody really dominating. You throw in Ashton Woon in here. I mean, yeah, him and Pettit have kind of been the Pied Pipers, but anything can happen, especially like we saw at Newcastle. Anything can happen. So
I agree.
It's just good to see how competitive this class is when in years past we've seen it kind of been dominated by a couple of drivers.
Okay, after another break, when we get back here on the Race Report, we'll do KA100 Master with the Super Master class. We'll do Shifter Master and Super Master. We'll do Mini Swift and Micro Swift as well. We'll cap off the Race Report after this quick break. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. Back at it here on the EKN Debrief, wrapping up our coverage of this past weekend's USPKS Indiana Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. My name's Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, who was trackside throughout the weekend providing the coverage. Rolling into the last bit here of the race report presented by Comet Kart Sales, we'll go with the KA100 Masters class presented by Nash Motorsports and the Supermaster class presented by TKG Barrel Art USA. And here's the headline: Barrios earns first win at Newcastle.
Yeah, it was dominated by Rollison Performance Group, except for qualifying where Adam Kreppen was able to put in the fast lap of the session of 126.304. Mike Rollison himself, the round one winner in this category, was able to win the opening heat and the super heat, while Mario Barrios, his teammate and customer, was the winner in the second heat. They were joined by Kreppen up front in the main event, so it was just those three drivers up front, with Barrios leading, Rollison second, and Kreppen third. Kreppen didn't make a move, however, until the last lap when he finally got by Rollison in I-70, and this allowed Barrios to go on unchallenged to the checkered flag by 0.2 of a second.
So tell me this: does Barrios win both Master and Supermaster, or is he only classified as the Supermaster?
Barrios wins Super. I know it's confusing and frustrates me, but we'll continue on. Barrios wins the Master category and Supermaster category, so 2 first-place trophies for him. Kreppen and Rollison, Falcone and Paul Elefante were the Master podium because they do top 5. And then if you look at Supermaster, it would have been Barrios, Falcone, and Carapolati that made up the Supermaster top 3.
There you have it. Again, class within a class. David, your takeaways on this one?
Yeah, RPG solid all weekend with Barrios and Rollison. Kreppen was there. Just little mistakes here and there for him. I think he finally got it figured out in the main event. Just should have pulled the trigger a little bit earlier.
Last but not least, Randy Klemek having a flip in heat number 2. What happened there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I-70 went over pretty hard. Was complaining about some shoulder pain. Couldn't really rise the arm up past a certain level. So decided to sit out for the rest of the weekend.
Okay, let's go to Shifter Master presented by Orsilon Racing and the Shifter Supermaster class presented by Maranello Kart USA. Here's the headline: Chandler survives final for overall victory.
Yeah, really no drama for this category or these race groups until the main event when they had the track to themselves. Brian Chatfield did not get the green as he had a mechanical issue before the start, so it ended up just being 3 karts on the track, but all 3 karts were together up until contact on lap 10 as Dominic Masori.
I'd say Maseri.
Maseri actually drove over top of Bradley Danoff during under braking, sent those 2 drivers off the track at scoreboard. That allowed Dan Chandler to go on to take the overall win and the Shifter Master victory. Maseri. I can't.
You got Dominic Maseri.
Maseri. He was the top Supermaster driver, so he actually got back on the racetrack and finished on the lead lap. Danoff retired early after getting lapped, while, as we said, Chatfield was a DNS in the Shifter Master class.
I see your takeaways here, David. Let me roll the pulpit up for you.
Just one. Where are the Masters drivers? That's it.
I'll tell you this. The answer is going to be this. They're going to be nowhere. They're going to be regional racing in a couple of years. It's as simple as that. You don't. If there's racing series that support you and offer, and you don't show, they're national. You're gonna be regional racing. And I think I think Masters they're gonna be regional racing. Listen, it's on the. I'd say it may not always be at the Super Nats either, because if you're not racing nationally, you're not going to see it. It's going to be tough. I hate it.
Well, yeah, and again, I kind of left the takeaways as we're going to try and put together a round table to try and figure out what's going on. And again, is it just all the Masters drivers we're so used to are too old now?
Are they in their 50s? Yeah, you're right.
Where we'll dive deeper into it on the roundtable. Is that now we're talking about guys who, were born in the early 90s, and lots of things have changed since, in terms of what they're doing with their money and time. So agreed. I don't know.
Yeah, 100% no. And listen, to be honest, a lot, and we'll save it for the roundtable, but a lot of these Masters drivers, the ones that are still here, have been around for a number of years. They've been doing it for 10 years. Maybe they're just burned out a little bit as well. They're not.
Or 20.
Or 20. 100%. All right. Save that for a roundtable. Let's go to Mini Swift, presented by Parolin Motorsport USA. Here's the headline. Manalio named winner after penalties.
Yeah, competitive Mini Swift field again, with multiple drivers at the front of the field. Aiden Go led the way in qualifying in the wet, but it was 3 different drivers winning the heat races. Lucas Tarango the first, Brody Stoffel the second, and in the super heat, it was Slate Harrell taking the win. All 2 of them were Nitro karts. The other one on Alonso kart was Slate Harrell. Brody Stoffel and Mason Brody were the front row starters for the main event. And what was a pretty active race, lots of shuffling for position, multiple drivers in the hunt. Eventually, Mason Brody was able to get up into the lead by lap 14, and from there was able to hold on as they fought for the second spot behind him, allowing him to escape to the checkered flag, unchallenged for the provisional victory. Unfortunately for him, a 3-position penalty for blocking took him off the top of the podium, moving him to the 4th position, and moving Jake Manalio, the SuperKarts USA Winter Series champion, to the top of the podium for his first USPKS victory in the category.
Yeah, Lucas Tarango coming home in the 2nd spot, Iker Alvarez in 3rd, Brody, we talked about that move down into 4th, and Dutch Westbrook rounding out the top 5. David, your takeaways for the Mini Swift drivers?
Yeah, 8 to 10 drivers in the battle all weekend long. Tarango had to come from outside the top 5 after having a DNS in heat number 2 for a broken chain. Iker A. Alvarez, a new name in the top 5 here in the Mini Swift category. So it was cool to see that. So multiple Benix up in the top 5. Obviously, a lot of Nitro karts in there, and then we had obviously the Kart Republic or Alonso karts with MPG. So again, probably 8 to 10 different drivers in the battle all weekend long.
Yeah, Slate Harrell really making his name known now here as well, as you said there, with that super heat win, and good stuff for him. Let's go down to the Micro Swift category, the final class here in the race report, brought to you by Comet Kart Sales. We'll go to Micro Swift, presented by Team Ferris Racing. Here's the headline. Francisco sweeps weekend in photo finish.
Yeah, almost perfect sweep, as he did not lead, or he did lead most of the main event, I guess. Again, trying to remember all these categories. Quick in the Rain, 130.012 led the way in the wet qualifying session. Micro was actually the first class on the racetrack every day, so they got to enjoy the newness of the racetrack every morning. Francisco was able to win both heat races, won the super heat. In that race, there was a wreck in the front of the field in turn 1. Francisco was able to get away from that, but it featured a number of different contenders in the wreck that kind of hurt their grid positions, as it was Francisco, Jack Katowski, Bryson Barnett in 3rd, Braxton Shiflett in 4th, and then Dusty Strayer in the top 5 for the grid for the main event. I didn't even write the full results here. I told you to look this over. But yeah, in the main event, it ended up being the top 3 early. Unfortunately, Dusty Strayer lost a draft. So then it was just Francisco and Jack Katowski up front. Katowski had a great run, got to the lead on the exit of I-70. However, as they were making the run to the checkered flag, he looked behind, and Francisco had enough momentum to inch by Katowski right at the line, winning by just 1,000th of a second.
So here's the one thing we all know when it comes to racing, right? You go where your eyes go. So if you're going through a corner and you find out that maybe you're turning too early or turning too late, you need to make sure you're looking at your exit point, right? David, when a driver's looking back like that, are they turning the wheel just a little bit? Are they scrubbing off a little bit of speed? Did Katowski looking back scrub off 0.002 of a second?
So ironically, my daughter is in driver's training right now. And
Yeah.
I remember when I was in driver's training that the driver instructor said, anytime you look over your shoulder, your hands are going to go that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think he looked the wrong way. That didn't help. But yes, I was standing next to his crew. They said, don't look back, don't look back. And he looked back and he lost the race by 1,000th of a second. So again, he's not tucking his head. He's not looking forward. I didn't look. I don't know the head on, so I don't know how much of a swerve it caused or any like the full Zapruder film of it. I haven't done that yet.
Yep.
But yes, I get he was probably looking to see where he was. I don't know if he was looking to celebrate. We've seen that before where somebody celebrates and then ends up losing the race because they celebrated too early. Lots of different things, but yes. It's a learning experience. That's just one thing that he's going to have to, he's already won a bunch of races this year. This is another he'll have a learning experience for. But in turn, you look at Tristan Francisco. He kept his head down and was able to complete the sweep both in the wet and in the dry. Yes. So an amazing, great first victory for him.
Yeah, 28 cars in the field, so a big field, and he ends up coming away with the win by 1/1000th of a second over Katowski coming home in second. Great stuff. Folks, all right, that wraps this one up. Let's go to the next one here. A little quick break. We come back. We'll wrap it all up with the Constructors' Championship. We'll do David's wrap-up, and we'll wrap things up with the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Kart. And in the U.S., Velocity Racing is their distributor and official race team. The Kart brand is among the top chassis around the globe and here in North America. And the recent successes include the FIA Karting World Championships in KZ last year and in multiple championships and at different levels here in the USA. The French manufacturer is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers products in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Velocity Racing also works with its expanded dealer network, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. Visit velocityracing.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis and the racing program, or call 407-270-3042 to become part of the Velocity Racing network today. Velocity Racing and Sodi Kart, leaders in the karting industry. A new way to compete in fast, reliable, and affordable racing is taking over the globe. The Tillotson Racing T4 concept is building momentum around the world, and it's expanding in the United States under the T4 Series USA operation. The T4 Series kart package is a spec class program featuring the spec Tillotson chassis, Tillotson engine, and spec Maxxis T4 tires that move the emphasis away from budget and onto driver. The T4 Series USA is working with kart tracks across the country, including the home-based T4 Kartplex, Orlando Kart Center, Music City Kartplex, and Lorain, Ohio Kartplex. The Texas Sprint Racing Series has signed on to offer the T4 Senior category this season, along with the T4 SoCal program that's already established. The T4 Series Eastern Cup is a 3-race program traveling to Tennessee, Ohio, and Florida this year, while the Florida Karting League Championship is set to host T4 categories in 2026. The new T4 America's Cup is a cooperation with T4 Series Mexico, and the program will feature a 2-race championship format for Tillotson Racing. Throughout the season, Tillotson racers will be competing for a ticket to compete at the coveted T4 Nations Cup, which is set for September 30th to October 4th at the Cartodromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero in Valencia, Spain. To learn more, head to T4SeriesUSA.com. All right, we're back out of here to wrap up this edition of the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage from the USPKS Indiana Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park this past weekend, June 26th to 28th. David Cole was there trackside. As we do, David, in all of our shows here, let's wrap things up and have a look at the Constructors' Championship. Let's look at which chassis were winning this past weekend.
Well, again, if we count Supermaster and Master and KA, there's 11 first place trophies on the weekend. Cosmic picking up 3, 2 of them by Mario Barrios. So that's kind of a little bit of an asterisk there, in my opinion. Yep. LN Kart picking up 2, along with Tony Kart and Nitro Kart, sweeping the 2 cadet categories there. And then Factory Karts with 1, and TB Kart, the other, one of the 3 shifter winners as well, with Tony Kart picking up a shifter win in the shifter master category. So 6 different brands there picking up wins on the weekend.
All right, let's wrap things up, David. We always, again, look at the end of the day and in terms of racing, how safe it was. Give me your thought. How many red flags did we have anyways?
1 red flag, and I was the one that brought it out because I told them to. There was a flip in turn 2. I was the first person to respond, but the driver heard somebody say, "Lay back down." And so he did. And so I said, well, we're in a bad spot. We're going to have to throw a red flag, buddy. And so we did, because again, if you're able to, this is a PSA for all those listening. If you're able to walk off the racetrack, walk off the racetrack. Don't just lay down and pretend like you're hurt. So
get somewhere safe.
Yeah. So again, he heard lay down, which again, sometimes for many Swift kids, you kind of do what you're told. Especially if it's from an authority figure, but yeah, it's just my PSA would be get to safety. If you can walk, get to safety, then we'll get you looked at, et cetera, et cetera. The driver was perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with him. A little bit of a headache. And I think he was more upset at crashing more than anything else. Right. So, yeah.
So what else you got for the wrap up? I know that we talked about weather issues on the weekend. Anything else in terms of weather?
Yeah, Newcastle always bringing weather issues. That's just something that we have to be ready for every time. Newcastle Motorsports Park has a new parking situation due to a situation that happened during the Apex weekend. They want to make sure fire lanes are clear. So they've marked off where parking spots should be. They have paid parking now for those on the pavement. Otherwise, most everybody is going to be either parking in their pit spot or in the parking lot that you can go to in the grass area right when you drive into the facility. So that was something new that Newcastle has been doing. So again, a lot of people were upset with it. Not exactly a great opening weekend for that. So we'll hopefully better heads will prevail on both sides of the situation.
Was there good communication on it? Was it just a communication thing?
They had parking attendants, but again, Rob, we're talking about a lot of people that just kind of do what they want situation.
True. Yeah.
And so that's when cars get towed. Again, they've marked out where cars can park. They've asked people to pay for parking in certain spots or to park in the grass. And yeah, so there was a little bit of negativity on both sides of the situation.
Understood. One of the things we talked about, David, a lot through the show there was first time winners. It looks like a number of guys were able to break through and get that first USPKS win.
All the winners that we had on the day, first time USPKS winners.
No, everybody
in their respective categories. Yep,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, wow. Bonilla never won. Yeah. Barrios has not won.
Musgrave.
Yep. At Newcastle, sorry. Newcastle.
Yeah, I do. Okay, at Newcastle.
First USPKS win at Newcastle in their respective categories.
Oh, that's good stuff. Margin of victories. You talked about it from the very get-go, and then each category, the run out of the hairpin, the scoreboard, long run into the I-70 hairpin where you're set up inside, outside, defensive line to the inside, over-unders. Not surprising with the long run down to start finish. It's a long run down to start finish too, the finish line, right? It's not close coming out of the corner. It sets up for the draft, sets up for the push, the extra guys. Not surprising so many of those margins of victories were down to just maybe 1 or 2 decimal points, either hundredths or thousandths of a second.
Yeah, again, 5 finishes within 70 thousandths of a second over the 9 9 races that we did have on track. Again, we had multiple classes in the 2 race groups. But the first 2 races of the day, Micro Swift and KA 100 Junior, were both 1,000ths of a second. Unfortunate side of that, both Katowskis were involved and on the bad end of that.
No, I didn't.
So it was
wow.
kind of day for
Understood.
the Katowski family.
Last but not least, halfway through the championship.
Halfway through, first 2 rounds done. Again, we went to Trackhouse in Newcastle, and now we'll be in the Ohio region, going to MCC again for the finale or for the 3rd round, and then the new Lorain, Ohio Kartplex for the finale in September.
Okay, let's cap things off now with the EKN Trackside Live race calendar presented by Margay Racing. If you're looking for a great racing program and a level playing field, check out Margay Racing's Spec Ignite class and their Arrive and Drive packages. Nothing matches the affordability and competitive level of the Ignite program. It's where the best driver wins over the best equipment. Bring your safety gear and Margay will take care of the rest. This year's Ignite majors include the WKA Daytona Kart Week, the Quincy Grand Prix, and the Rock Island Grand Prix on Labor Day weekend. The Midwest-based Ignite Challenge Series will hit 5 different tracks in 2026, and be sure to find a club or track running the Ignite class in your part of the country this season. For more information, visit ignitekarting.com today. Get off the couch and into a race seat. All right, David, let's have a look at the races here, the next 3 on the calendar here for our EKN trackside coverage. You and Al to be together actually in just under a month, July 24th to 26th, heading back to Newcastle Motorsports Park. We talked about it already, and kind of foreshadowing maybe what's going to happen at the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals based on the events at the USPKS Indiana Grand Prix. But the next one for us, about a month time, we're going back to Newcastle.
Yeah, 3 weeks from Thursday, we'll be side by side and back at Newcastle Motorsports Park for the second stop of my triple header down there at Newcastle Motorsports Park, as I will return the following weekend for what will be the RMC Trophy Final on July 31st through the August 2nd, with multiple Rotax Grand Finals tickets up for grabs in the one-off event that'll be happening there at Newcastle.
There it is. And after that, the next week, as David's on a bit of a roll here, the USPKS Ohio Grand Prix. David, back to a USPKS again. You already talked about it. Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. I finally got a chance to go. I get it. Awesome racetrack. But you're back there on August 7th to the 9th for the 3rd round of the USPKS series.
A challenging racetrack for sure.
Oh,
that is, and then in August, who knows what the weather will be, if we'll be avoiding tornadoes, if we're going to be humidity. Hopefully that heat dome that we have right now in this region is going to go away by then. But we'll see what happens. Again, the 3rd round for USPKS. And I want to say it's the 3rd stop there in the series history, maybe 4th. I'll have to double check that before our outlap that we'll have here in just over a month.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll dive into that. Not surprising, the heat wave, you've talked about that bubble, wherever you call it, a heat dome, whatever you call it.
Heat dome, yeah.
Heat dome. I'm heading down to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course this weekend for the IndyCar weekend and the USF Pro Championships, all 3 of the series. Many of the former USPKS karters racing in USF Juniors, USF 2000, or USF Pro 2000 this weekend alongside IndyCar. And from there off to Lime Rock Park for USF Juniors. So, then I get a weekend off, meeting you back at the Pro Tour Summer Nats. Looking forward to that. Dave, final thoughts from your trip down to Newcastle for the first of what will be 4 trips this year? What are your thoughts on the USPKS Indiana Grand Prix?
Yeah, again, I love the format. Again, the superheat definitely adds a better feel to it in terms of, hey, if I screw up in qualifying, if I get 2 good heat races, I'll move up for the superheat and get an even better spot for the main event. So kudos to USPKS for changing that format, going away from just 3 heat races and starting there all day Saturday. So helps with the progress of for drivers. It also doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt you as bad if you have a bad heat race, because there's only 2 of them. But if you do have a bad superheat, that does cost you in the end. So again, you got to be good every single session. That's something we'll be talking about in the outlap when looking kind of at the championship battles in all the categories.
And we roll, obviously, of course, into July 1st, Canada Day, July 4th, Independence Day in the U.S., into what will essentially be the grind of the summer, July and August. Lots of racing going on before we head in September. Thank you so much for tuning in because, again, it's going to be busy from here. Lots of outlaps, lots of debriefs. We're going to try to fit that roundtable in, a bunch of stuff to talk about. Another CKNA podcast coming soon as well. We're hoping for a roundtable there, too. Lots going on, lots of podcasts here on the EKN Radio Network. And again, thank you so much, folks, for tuning into this one as David gave us a full review of the USPKS Indiana Grand Prix. It was another great weekend, Newcastle Motorsports Park. Many to come. Back-to-back weekends for SCUSA and the RMC program at the end of July. Looking forward to getting to Newcastle Motorsports Park myself. Great show today, David. Thank you so much. Folks, on behalf of David, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.